I have the best advice for women in business. Get your fucking ass up and work.
Yeah, so there's this clip going around of Kim Kardashian basically telling people to work. And when you first sent me the clip, I was like, yeah, this seems like a normal thing to say. Yeah. But then you were like, oh, yeah, we should talk about this because there's a bunch of hate on it. I was like, how is there hate? How this seems like a very basic concept. Yeah. But people still hate on it.
And like, to be fair, I think Variety kind of set them up the way that they put it out.
Yeah. Making them look all bougie.
They're for a cover photo. They're all like glammed out, makeup
dolled up.
They're in a very just like cover model kind of mode.
Yeah, right.
And then they're talking about this, which feels like very,
like
powerful,
almost insulting,
like the ruling class telling the working class, like, go to work, which is, I think, how people interpreted it.
Some of the comments we were reading was that people were like, well, yeah, it must be easy for you. And I feel like that's something that we've been very conscious of too, is like, I feel like sometimes people want to like compare you just because somebody always has it worse than you. Yeah. So are you never going to take advice from somebody, or always that everything that comes out of somebody's mouth is not knowledge or advice or
unless
anything,
they went through your situation?
Yes, exactly. Or a situation worse than you. And I just feel like you're like discrediting them from step one. Like you said, like the messenger. Well, either way, though, they are still wealthy. Whatever you want to say, like they do still work their asses off. Either way, like maybe in a way that most people would like to and can't. I would love to be able to go up there and do cover magazines and that be work. But like they did put in the work. Whether you want to like give them credit or not, you kind of have to. They are where they are for a reason. They're the ones too that are always known. Everybody always says like they're the ones that are famous for no reason. Well, then even more props to them because they didn't do anything to get them there.
Well, that's the thing that gets me, though, is like, I mean, number one, like my question's always, what do you want people to do? Like, do you want them to just like, oh, I was born with
so now they can't ever give advice, because they were born with that.
Like I was born with this many $1 million. So in order for my work to be valid, I have to like give that all away and start from ground zero or below zero.
Right.
And the other piece of that too is like, I'm tired of, and I used to say this all the time, and I was around a lot of poor families that were always like, oh, they're famous for no reason. They're cashing checks off of nothing. Like, I firmly believe that there's nobody famous, and I'll say lasting fame, that doesn't deserve to be famous. Yeah. Like, whether it's Donald Trump, whether it's Kardashians, whether it's, whoever you want to put there, like, it's not easy to maintain.
Yeah.
You can't be continuously relevant without putting in the work to be relevant.
Yeah, and you can have a bad view or be a toxic person. I'm not saying like everything the Kardashians teach.
Well, yeah, being famous doesn't make you right.
But
it doesn't mean that you put in some work
to doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
No, yeah. It's funny because even on a video from a friend of ours the other day, Sam, he put up the video of investing and stuff, and people just assume in the comments
he was rich,
because it got like 500,000 views or something. Mm-hmm. People just assume like, oh, here comes a trust fund baby talking about. It's like, no, he actually grew up in poverty and built what, like, people always want to assume that you did the least amount of work possible to become successful because it makes them feel better about their lack of success. Yeah. If they have to come to terms with the fact that anybody can do this because we live in a land where anybody can do this, then they have to take ultimate responsibility for their lack of success. Right. And that doesn't feel good. So it's easier to point at the Kardashians and be like, well, yeah, they're rich and successful and famous and beautiful, but that's because they were born that way. They didn't do any work. Yeah. It's easy to demonize people like that because you don't want to admit to yourself that it's possible for you to pull yourself out of the situation. And maybe you don't have the platform to be the Kardashians, like some of the most famous people in literally the entire world. Yeah. But you can do something and you can start somewhere and you can pull yourself out of the situation that you're in if you're willing to abide by those principles. But it was just crazy to me when I saw that, all the hate that they were getting from this video where they were just basically saying like, hey,
work.
It's like, you want to be successful, work hard.
Get around people.
Put yourself in the right rooms in front of, like, around people who are a lot more successful than you.
Which they are. Like, and they're getting around people.
This shows you how much I know about the Kardashians. Who was the other girl, the other one in the video? Was that Khloe?
Khloe, yeah.
So Khloe said something about, like, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. Yeah. And that's something that almost every successful person I know talks about. And that's literally the entire reason for my first podcast was talking about that. Because if you are the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room. You need to go get around people who are smarter than you, that are going to push you, that are going to help you be more successful. Yeah. Like the stuff that they were saying in the video were very like rudimentary success principles.
Yeah.
That was what was so mind blowing.
And if it came from anyone else, it would be like, if John Maxwell said it, people are like, wow, that's
thank
amazing,
you. Thank you for this wisdom.
But the thing is, like, it's all perspective too, is like, we look at a Kardashian and go like, they're on a level we can never be, which is true, probably. Like I'll never be as famous as Kim Kardashian, like unless something weird happens in the universe. Like it's not, like, but do I think someday I'll be in a room with the Kardashians? Do I think I'll be in a room with people on that level? Like, I mean, we kind of have been in rooms with people that are at high levels, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like for them, they're also getting in rooms with that people that are astronomical. Like we can't imagine ever getting in a room with them. Like, so like from their perspective, they're sitting there, maybe they got a better start or maybe they got, fame through something but like they still have people that they're looking at that they're going like, oh shoot, I'll never be as big as that person.
Well, that's where you got to give props to Kris.
Right.
Like she recognized that early on. And like the bottom line is there's so many people that have reached the level of success that the Kardashians reached 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That's my point
moment.
Is like, there's so many people that have gotten to that point, but the fact that they were able to take that level of success and catapult themselves into global stardom, fame, and wealth, like generational type wealth from seemingly nothing, meaning like none of them were actors or whatever. Like the fact that they were able to do that means that they got something figured out. They're pretty smart. They work extremely hard. Like all the people that are talking crap about them not working are the same people that if they took a glimpse of their monthly schedules, they would just be like, nah, fuck that. I'm not putting in that much work. Like they work and they work hard. Like Kim just got another degree. Like why? Yeah. Why did she do? She didn't have to do that.
She doesn't have to do anything.
Right.
That's
quite literally.
That's the thing that I realize, like with the other person that always gets thrown in the mix is like Paris Hilton, and her and Kim were friends and grew up the same time. And it's like, Paris Hilton's family owns Hilton hotels. Like she never had to do a single thing. That's plenty of money. Like there's enough money with that name. She's turned that into, now she's chasing becoming a billionaire. Like the Kardashians, like Kylie's become a billionaire. She's like one of the youngest billionaires, I think. It's
youngest, I think the youngest female billionaire ever.
Like, I mean, I look at like Paris's schedule, like, and I know because it's like ridiculously hard to like ever communicate ever, but it's like she's traveling, I think it's 300 days a year, 320 days a year. She does like 5 or 6 outfit changes, full makeup, which like, you could say, oh, I wish I could just change clothes and do makeup, but it's like, do you want to get up at 4 a.m. and sit in a makeup chair and then also be managing company? Like
expected to have a smile on your face, keep up the energy, be happy and excited with all your fans. So nobody thinks you're a douchebag. Like you got there. It's real work. Even listening to Will Smith's book on audio, and I'm right at the part where he's talking about how he leveraged himself into becoming a real movie star instead of just a hip hop artist who was on a sitcom.
Which is funny because no one even thinks that the last thing you think of is music. What do you think?
Yeah, right.
It's so true.
I didn't even know how extensive his music career was until I listened to his book. But yeah, he was talking about how crazy his schedule was when he was trying to get worldwide movie stardom status and pull himself out of just being like a sitcom guy who did a movie or two, and he was talking about how he would wrap Fresh Prince filming on Friday, and then he would jump on a flight to Europe for Saturday, and then he would do press tour all day Saturday, part of the day Sunday, hop on a flight, come back to be ready to work Monday morning for Fresh Prince. And then he was looking at the tour schedules of the biggest movie stars at the time, like Tom Cruise, and basically dissecting, how much work they were putting in to get in front of people. And he was like, man, I physically can't do this much work because I'm still doing Fresh Prince. I'm still working on these other things. I physically can't do this. How do I compete with people like this? So he literally started doing live performances in Europe on tour, promoting movies, becoming famous in other parts of the globe so that their global box office sales would top those $250 million, $400 million, $500 million, box office premieres. And then he would go out, do a live show in front of thousands of people for free in a foreign country just to promote the movie so that next movie he booked, he could get he would get paid more up front and he would get paid more royalties, and people would trust him to sell more movies abroad because he built his fan base overseas. Like, this is the kind of stuff that these people do that we take for granted, and we look at it and we go, well, they just got lucky, or they got put in the right situation. It's like luck, in my opinion, luck always has something to do with success. There's always a form of luck that's in the mixture, the magic formula of success.
Still has to accept you. You know, you still have. There's a lot
There's
of
timing in the industry. There's there's so many things that I think that fall around that. The difference is successful people tend to make their own luck. They tend to get lucky more often because they are working that many hours. They're putting themselves in front of the right people.
Engineered serendipity.
It's engineered serendipity, which is something that we talk about a little bit on Bojo Network and the show and stuff. It's like, yes, it's serendipitous. Yes, it's luck, but it wasn't just out of nowhere. Like, they're not just sitting on their couch, smoking weed, eating Doritos, and watching TV all day, and then get a phone call from an agent. It's like, you're a movie star. Like, that's not how it works. Like, that's not how it works on a reality TV star either. Like, it's still a ton of work. And like, people, like I said, I think it's basically just a bunch of people that want to feel better about themselves. So they don't want to admit that the Kardashians potentially maybe might work a little bit more than they do, because they just don't do anything.
And again, it's not that if you work, you're going to get to their level. Like, that's not the guarantee, but like,
hard work is not created
starting
equal.
where you are at, which everyone listening, like, I started with like, oh, we're going to stay in a hotel because our water got shut off. You know what I mean? Like, that was my start. You know, some people started with like, oh, my dad, gave me 40 grand, and when like, whatever your starting point is, set your goal. And then, Vince Del Monte just talked about this, set your goal, then set your standards accordingly. Like, what's the thing you want to do? And again, it's easier to just look at someone and say like, well, if I had all of your things lined up the way you did, then, but what they leave out is like, that person had to line things up. You still have to line things up at some point.
But that's the thing in common, what I think everyone's missing, is it's still work. Like, you still have to put in the work. No matter where you're at, you have to put in the work. And that's what people are missing. Like, whether you're the Kardashians and your work gets you to a different level, okay, well, you have to put in work to get to your different level, wherever you're at in life,
Yeah. I mean, I do slip money in the slot machine every time I go to the Starbucks in the casino next to my house.
How's that working out for you?
That's such a Las Vegas statement.
It is.
Every time I go to Starbucks, I step over and hit the slots. No, I honestly...
That's been profitable for you, or?
Actually, so here's what happened. No, here's the story really quick. And we'll close on this because this is a good point. So I went to go get Starbucks, and the only Starbucks that like I wanted to go... The one Starbucks was closed randomly, and then like the Starbucks close to my house was the one in the casino, like right there. So like I walked in, I ordered the coffee. They had a little bit of a line. So I went over and slipped money into the Wheel of Fortune slot, I put like $20 in, but whatever their high bet was on there, which is like, I think 5, won $100, cashed out, left.
There you go. That's gambling the right way.
Yeah.
And how much of that have you given back since then?
All of that? No, all that. Well, actually, so the money just went elsewhere. We took Piper to the arcade, and she blew all that. But she won a lot of stuffed animals, actually. She's killer on the claw machine.
It's a win. That's a win.
That is a win.
But anyway, yeah, I think ultimately, I'm curious to see what people respond to. I'm going to probably cut this up in little TikTok snippets and see what people say about it. But I found myself agreeing with the Kardashians. Which I don't always do.
Correct. Yeah.
But yeah, I think
it was so funny, man. You sent me the clip.
It's such basic advice. We hear it all the time from so many entrepreneurs, like 6-figure.
You were like, we should talk about this. And I was like, ooh, what's it going to be? I click into it. It's like, hey, you should work hard and get around smart people.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, people are hating this right now? People are like, no, don't do that.
Let us know what you think. Comment on Instagram, screenshot this. Post your comment there. Keep your expletives limited, whatever your thoughts are. And I think we should all schedule for us to do a photo shoot.
I mean, there we go.
Okay.
There we go. But all right.
I'll be sick that day.
Thanks so much for listening. All right.
In conclusion, work hard, get around good people, make your own success. And that's all.